The chevron chef is in the house.
The chevron?
Yeah, the
I
chevron.
saw it.
Chevron. Chevron.
It looks pretty sick. I just want to say, so you guys were sitting around staring at it all day today. You got nothing done. You're just
What?
admiring that billet. You were admiring the billet.
When do you think we forged it, ground it, hardened it, etched it? When do you think that happened?
Yesterday.
No, why yesterday?
Because today you were basking in the glory of its beauty.
Ladies and gentlemen, good luck for it! Europe Podcast!
What's going on, guys? It's been like 2 days since we last chatted.
Been living the dream, baby.
In the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Everybody catching up from getting back from vacations and blade shows and getting all that shop stuff done. And I think Paulius had 3 podcast episodes to do this week. It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough being famous.
Oh man, it's the third one. It's the third one. So hopefully not the fourth. We don't have a fourth this week.
Oh, we don't.
yeah.
So Balthasar can't.
Yeah, sadly. But we'll talk about him later, maybe in the show, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, for me, the last days has been just cleaning my shop and preparing for restoring the CNC that I got. So it's a bigger purchase, but it's even a bigger time investment with restoring it and even making it better than it was. So yeah, having 2 is better than having 1. So
Is this a big machine? Like, how much space does it take up?
around a square meter, cube meter,
okay.
you could say. You know, it's a small machine, around 120 kilos, welded up pipe, steel, and yeah, just basically a lot of stuff that I need to upgrade. I want to build a separate electronics box with better controller, better stepper motors that are actually closed looped, so they don't lose their location. Also, I want to change the spindle, which is like twice the price of the machine itself. And also change the linear ways, because now it uses the round linear ways, which are way less accurate than square linear ways. So it will be a lot of shimming, moving, creating adapters, and trying to make it as accurate as possible, and then go to software and try to make it even more accurate. So a fun side project, which is really needed for my business, you know, to stay relevant and to, you know, a lot of my products are really dependent on having a CNC. And if I have one and it breaks down, I'm in the poo-poo. I'm not living the dream, baby, anymore. So I need to have to. Yeah. And also, we talked a lot about lean and one-piece flow, and having 2 CNC machines actually really helps and improves, because you can have then 2 operations running simultaneously without having to change the setups. So there will be an efficiency increase also.
It looks like you're basically just redoing the whole machine. There's not much left after you upgrade all that stuff.
The most important thing is the welded up frame, which was machined on a way bigger machine, you know. So this gives a good basis for that. And it is really hard to get something in the size and price range that I am looking for. And like the step up of a machine would cost me like 20 grand at least. So,
yeah.
You know, it's way cheaper, and it was a very good offer, and it has a good foundation, and that is what really matters. So yeah,
Nice.
and I will be learning a lot about all of this stuff, just because I don't know what to do, you know, what indicators to get, how to measure it, and it will be expensive, but it gives me knowledge to sustain my business. And yeah, that was my 2 days. How about you, Keith?
Yeah, I didn't really get a whole lot done the last 2 days, catching up on orders. My wife was gone for the week on vacation, so she just got home yesterday. And finished up packaging all the or refilling all the Gator piss bottles. So we got all that stuff out of the way. That's kind of a pain in the butt. You gotta like get the bottles and put labels and shit on them and measure out 5 liters, and it's just boring and messy. But Albert made something. You were speaking of machines. Albert made something pretty cool. Hopefully he can talk about it on the show with one of his new machines or an attachment for his new machine. Albert, what kind of steel did you show us today?
We have these chevron rollers for the Tobin rolling mill now. And yesterday we finished the first chevron Curie with 15 and 20 and 02, so our standard Damascus. And Knippenberg texted me right after I posted the story with the chevron Curie and suggested that we do a laminate with chevrons. And we've already done that when he texted me that. I told him, guess what we did today?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not on Instagram yet. I just texted you guys the pictures, but we made a copper Damascus chevron Apex knife.
Of course, Apex core.
Apex core and copper 02 Damascus cladding. Chevron Damascus cladding. It looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, the pattern itself looks great. You said you had to work on a small adjustment with the core size, but
yeah, the core was too thin. We used our standard ratio. We have a very tight tolerance there because we use a 5 mil core and 10 mil cladding usually. So you have to be very precise when forging and also when grinding to get to the core when you're grinding the bevels. And we did a similar ratio on this one, but we didn't know, or we could have known, but we simply didn't think about that. The chevron rollers, they off-center the core. So the core goes left, right, left, right, left, right, because we roll in the chevron pattern. So the core is, although the core was center, it gets off-center with these rollers. So we just have to use a thicker core. I mean, there's like 2 small sections where the core is not visible. So where there's copper at the edge, but with a thicker core or thinner cladding, depends on how you want to do it, we should be fine. Yeah. But we're super stoked about this pattern.
It's going to be a cool pattern. It looks like a lot of work though.
Yeah, we had to use the kiln to forge it because when we forge all our copper Damascus in the kiln, and it takes forever to heat up. So, and we only can do like for our standard small billets because usually our billets are like 1 meter and above, so 1 meter, 1.20 m, 1.50 m. And we don't have a kiln that's large enough, so we have to do smaller billets, which is not too bad because if you fuck up a copper Damascus billet, it better be a small one and not a big one. So
yeah, it can get expensive and time consuming.
Yeah, but we're super stoked, so we bought a huge plate of copper. Now we can do a lot of copper Damascus or chevron Damascus with copper. Yeah, that's what we did today.
Speaking all about steel, Albert, do you want to introduce our guest this week?
Yeah, we are super stoked to have Carly from Damasteel on the show. Hi, Carly.
Hey, guys.
Great to have you on the show.
Thanks so much. I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, this is awesome. It was awesome to be in Austria a couple weeks ago, and now here we all are on the podcast.
So Carly from Damasteel, if you guys don't know her yet, I think you are in charge of the marketing department.
Yeah, I do the marketing at Damasteel. I've been there for 3 years now, and we're all based in Sweden, but I'm originally from Canada. So yeah, it's been a huge learning curve for me getting into this world of steel and especially like custom knives. I had no idea. So every time I go to a knife show, my mind is just totally blown. And Austria was no exception.
So did you move here just because of the work, or do you already speak the language?
I moved to Sweden. Like my husband is Swedish, so we moved here after we had our kiddo, just to be close to grandparents. And Damasteel just kind of fell into my lap. I had not heard of them before. It was just totally by accident. And they're a great team. There's just 15 of us total at the company. So it's a really tight little group and just a kind of an awesome place to be because everyone's so passionate about what they do. You should all come up and see our workshop. That would be really fun if we could do a tour sometime. It's set in a pretty beautiful little spot in central Sweden, a couple hours north of Stockholm. We're on the banks of the river, and it's a gorgeous place to be. You can have a sauna after lunch and get really into the whole like Swedish vibe up here. We've got sun right now until like 10 o'clock at night. And when I wake up in the morning at 4 with my kid, the sun's already up. So yeah, long days. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's getting like that here now where the sun comes up early and stays up till like 9:30 at night or so. It's a great time of the year.
Yeah, it's like a really, it's a really epic thing. You know, coming from Canada, I'm from near Toronto, and if it gets to be like light at, 9:30 at night, we're pretty stoked. So this is very cool. Although the winters are brutal, but when it's May, almost June, you don't talk about that.
Yep, enjoy the summer while it's here.
Totally.
Do you guys have any questions for Carly before I jump in? I had a couple that I was thinking about when we were at the knife show last week.
I just wanted to say, Carly, thank you for the birthday wishes on another podcast. You gave me a shout out.
Yeah, no worries. It was so nice to meet you. Yeah, it was great to be there in person.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really nice meeting you. And I have a very simple question for starters.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite pattern of Damasteel, and why?
Okay. Well, I am going to let you in on a little secret. My favorite pattern is actually being dropped this week. I guess we're recording the Thursday before, but this is coming out the Thursday of Blade Show, and there is a pattern dropping tomorrow at 11 a.m. in our booth. That is by far my favorite pattern we've ever done. And yeah, I'm so stoked for everyone to see it. It's been like a secret we've been keeping for a while. It's something we've never done before. There's only 30 billets of it made. And yeah, if you're like a newsletter subscriber, you might already know about it. But yeah, I'm just so stoked. So if you're at the show tomorrow, or Keith, you're going to be there, right? So come by our booth tomorrow at 11 and I will show it to you in person, and hopefully your mind will be a little blown. So yeah.
What's the booth number we need to look for?
7.
Do you know that offhand?
Yeah, 738. It's our regular spot. We're right like behind Vegas Forge. We like to hang out with those guys. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to check it out. Me and Albert. Albert's gonna be there too.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, Albert, you're gonna have to come and see it. I'm like so stoked to share it with the world. I'm really excited. This podcast is coming out right before Blade Show because I can like almost talk about it. So that's awesome.
So maybe you can spill some more beans about it, like how it was developed.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Okay, well, I will tell you, it has been inspired by the bird that sits atop of Yggdrasil, the tree of life. So the bird's name is Rasvelg. I'm probably butchering that, but everyone can say it differently. That's the cool thing about Norse mythology. So yeah, that's what I'll say. How about that? How about I end there?
That's Albert's Googling it already. He's going to tell us.
No, I'm not. I don't know how to spell it. Otherwise, I would have Googled it.
There's going to be a few umlauts,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few pattern names that are difficult to announce in your lineup.
So as the resident native English speaker, that's my job. They line up all the potential pattern names for me, and I have to say them in my accent and see how they go.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's pretty hilarious process.
I mean, if you are working with a lot of international clients, I guess you can hear a lot of very different and funny pronunciations of the different patterns.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been trying to simplify some of them, and some words are just really cool in Swedish. We just came out with 2 round bar patterns. One is Saga and one is Lucia. So they're they're like girls' names, but I just thought these are so beautiful. Like saga is like a big story too, like a saga. I thought that's so awesome for like a really, really awesome pattern. Actually, and I will tell you, that's not a secret. We have this new round bar pattern saga, and at Blade Show, we're premiering a forged saga cleaver by Eric Gullickson that I've only seen pictures of, but he has sent it in the mail and we're going to have it with us. And I cannot wait to play with this thing. He said that it is the best knife he's ever made. That's the claim so far. So it's in the mail right now. So can't wait to have it. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I mean the name, and because it's a round bar, it's meant to be for Grimsmo to use it for his saga pens because he uses a lot of Damasteel.
I know. Yeah, we've been actually working on that with them for ages. But yeah, speaking of CNC, there's like such specific requirements. So hopefully we'll get there eventually. I have a saga pen those guys gave me last year when I visited them, and it's like always on me. It's my favorite little everyday carry, my saga pen. Shout out to the Canadians.
oh right, they are Canadians too.
Yeah.
That is right.
Yeah.
So at Damasteel, you don't only do stainless Damascus. You sell other kinds of steels. Right?
Yeah, we also do a like a non-pattern steel, RWL 34, and then we do the Damacor also. Sorry, I almost said that in Swedish. So we've got about 37 patterns now, including the Damacor line that we do. And so some of our patterns we do as round bar and flat stock. Others are just flat stock, and some we only do as round bar, which is awesome for forging, which so many people at Knife Show Austria were asking us about forging, which is really exciting. I think seeing so many beautiful forged pieces was really inspiring, and the idea of having those done in stainless, I think, just like opens up kind of customer potential for people. So I think that would be really awesome if people get into that. It's not so scary, I say.
And if you're selling the patterns in round bar, that means like other industries are probably using them for like jewelry and watchmaking and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of jewelry, a lot of watchmakers have started discovering us. Some of the bigger guys, they have to go through a lot of testing, saltwater testing and stuff, which our product does amazingly under. So I know Hublot, the big watch manufacturer, they released something a couple of years ago, Big Bang Gourmet Unico. It was like a 22,000 euro watch in Damasteel. It was amazing. And then we get a lot of people doing, pens, fidget spinners, beads for like EDC beads, jewelry. And a lot of knife makers make their own rings as well. You know, once you learn the etching basics, it's like, oh, I want to have my own ring in Damasteel. So yeah, we also see a lot of that. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. So how do you guys like come to a partnership? Because you're gonna have Damasteel's name on the product like attached to it. Also, do you guys like work together and make sure that it fits with your brand line and the quality that you want, or can anybody just like buy your steel and use it?
Yeah, anybody can buy our steel and use it. And we ask companies to say that they're using Damasteel, mostly because we feel like it helps them sell their product. You know, there's such like a history of quality. You know, now this is our 30th year, and our steel is very clean, and it's really kind of like a one of a kind thing. And so we like to inspire our customers to use the name so that when they pass that price point on, it makes sense to whoever's purchasing it. So yeah, we don't enforce it, but we hope that people want to use it. So we had
you have a few different knife companies that are like using your steel exclusively in marketing as the Damasteel patents and stuff. I was wondering how that worked for like knife makers who want to make a production line and use Damasteel as a steel.
Yeah.
If they need the okay from you guys to do something like that, or
no, definitely not. We love to hear that. There's no limits on really what you can do. And one of the things that we recommend is like reaching out to our sales team, because if they know what kind of production model you're looking to make, they'll help you choose the pattern based on that. You know, some of our patterns work better with a really intense grind, and some of them don't. Some of them, the pattern is like more alive if there's like a really when the pattern's flatter. So if you talk to our sales team, they'll kind of help guide you and also help you in terms of dimensions of billets, and because everything we make is like forged to order. So we don't have any stock except for our RWL. We don't have anything in stock at the forge. So if you call us up and you need something for a production order, we'll make that specifically for you and nobody else. So it'll be just as you need it.
So that's why you're able to sell by the centimeter when somebody orders this billet or this bar at a certain length. You guys are actually making them all, one by one to order.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like our forge team, so yeah, Paulius was talking about like getting 2 CNCs going. So we have 2 ovens, we have 2 hammers, we've got 2 rolling mills, and we've got 2 CNC machines. So we have a really small team in production, just 5 people, but we need to be set up at all times to do really any type of piece, so that we don't slow that line down. So kind of everything gets turned on in the morning, and it is ready to go, so that if Albert orders, you know, this billet in this pattern, we run that through, and then Keith, you order like 16 billets and something else, and we're ready to jump right into that with our machines. So yeah, it's a really important part of our production. One of our CNC machines is from 1978. It's still running. And then our other one is a Mazak. We just got that 5 years ago. So we've got this kind of like vintage CNC machine, and then this ultra modern spaceship type CNC machine happening, which is kind of fun to watch.
Now I really want to go and see the operation of Damasteel, because doing the production with just 5 people and able to produce it on demand when the purchase happens is insane. And just talking about custom orders.
I was wondering what you guys are excited most about seeing at Blade Show, because I think I heard you right. This is your first time, Albert?
The new Damasteel pattern, which is being announced Friday. No, we will definitely come by your booth and check it out.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. What else are you looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on yesterday's or the day before yesterday. I mean, we're very much looking forward to meeting all the people we know from Instagram and the internet, because we've never met because it's so far away from us, the US, right?
Yeah.
So we know the European knife makers and the Austrian knife makers, of course, but we've hardly ever met anyone from the US. So we are very much looking forward to meeting all these guys.
Yeah, I'm flying all the way over to America so we can see Eric Gullickson's knife.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it live.
Who just was at our shop like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But can you tell us something about the production, or I don't know how much you actually can tell us or are allowed to tell us, but how does it work, or how is it made, Damasteel Damascus?
So all of our patterns are made with powder. So there's no like welding at all. in that sense. So we make it with powder, and we hip those capsules just around the corner from us, and then we forge it out. So it's like a technologically heavy process, and we're really lucky to have kind of neighbors in Söderfors where there's been steel production for 350 years, and still going strong, who can do parts of the process for us, so we don't have to go far for that. So that's kind of awesome.
The rest of the forging is done in-house, like on conventional machines, like power hammers, rolling mills and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us any tips for forging Damasteel? Because here's what happened. We tried to forge it with Fingal in our shop.
I saw that.
Yeah. And we ruined like some of it. So you have, as far as I understood it, you have to be very precise with the temperature when you're forging Damasteel, right?
Yeah, I saw some pictures from Fingal, and I think there were maybe two problems. One was too hot, and then the other was too cold. If it's too hot, it can just go back to the powder. And so, yeah, you do have to be really precise when forging Damasteel. I would say you just have to be really patient. I forged it with Fredrik Spore like a year ago now. We did a knife course together, and he forged it out from some round bar. And the trick that he passed on to me is that as soon as that color changes, you just put it back in. You have to just be so patient. Do not try to forge it like carbon. It doesn't want to move that fast. It wants to move slow. It wants to move very slowly.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah. So I would say, go slow, be patient, and try to be precise with those temperatures. If you don't have something that you can measure the temperature of your oven with, like maybe wait on forging Damasteel. But that would be my call. Like we're obviously seeing more and more people forging it. That's the last 4 years it's kind of exploding, and that's because the knowledge is exploding. And you can use our all of the information that we have on our website as a guide, as kind of a starting point. But there's definitely going to be a lot of trial and error with your own setup at home, or in your forge or your workshop. But I did see those pictures from Finkel, and I felt very sad for you guys, because that's no fun.
Yeah, but he wasn't mad at all. I mean, it was actually fun trying it. And the way we successfully did it then was we used an electric kiln.
Okay.
I mean, with a very, very precise temperature controller.
Yeah.
So with that, it worked perfect. I mean, that's just how we make our copper Damascus. That's also where we use our electric kiln and not the gas forge.
Okay, yeah.
But so that might also be a tip. But it takes forever to heat up, of course, in an electric kiln.
Yeah.
But you don't ruin the billet. So that's the advantage of an electric kiln.
Yeah, I think all the tips that you gave are pretty much standard for stainless steel. So Damasteel is not really any more difficult if you can forge out a piece of D2 or something without it crumbling on you like beach sand. Then
no, it's completely different, Keith.
Yeah,
yeah, it's completely. D2 is easy to forge. I
mean, if you're not following the temperatures correctly and stuff, there's no like player giving it. As soon as you ruin it, it's gone. Like everything just crumbles on you.
With D2, I have never. This has never happened to me with D2 that it started crumbling. No, we forged a lot of D2. So
talk to Huber about it.
One thing that we mentioned to a few people actually in Austria was to test out some RWL first, to try some of our like plain stock, because it is the same composition. So you might find you'll get a little bit more value for your your testing process, and see how that goes first. So we had quite a few people interested in forging out some RWL, because we can provide that pretty thick, so it can be not round bar, but pretty thick billets. So that can be kind of fun to work with. So.
I mean, we do that a lot with our WL34 forging. Like we put a forged texture on it and stuff. So that's easy to do. But with Damasteel, I mean, we also had a round bar, so it was
it's a lot,
much more material to heat up. So
yeah, it's a lot of material to heat up, and it's a lot of material to move. Yeah, no, I get that. people seemed, I've never forged carbon, so I don't have a comparison point of how difficult it is. That's where I'm at a huge disadvantage. Kind of entered the knife world in a funny place where my world is all Damasteel, and so I get that it's difficult, but I've been it's the only way I know.
That's a good place to start with Damasteel.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny way to enter this like world of custom knife making.
Yeah, usually it's the other way around. Usually people start with cheap high carbon steel and then they move up to Damasteel.
So. Yeah, my first knife was like a forged round stock brute to forge. But
nice.
Onwards and upwards. Carbon one day.
Yeah.
Are you guys have you guys been doing any Damasteel cladding with the Apex as well, or?
I mean, we've done a lot of stainless cladding, but only like monosteel stainless cladding.
Okay.
On the outside, but Damasteel. You mean Damasteel Damascus on the outside?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. No, we have not. No.
Okay.
Because we need, but you can provide Damasteel in whatever dimensions we need, right?
Yeah.
So you can also provide like 10 millimeters for cladding.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we I know that a couple Austrians worked on it last year, but I haven't seen it yet. And then we had Casey Valensky, also a Canadian shout out. He did an Apex Damasteel piece last year that we saw at Blade. That was kind of a big wow moment of Blade for us, and it was very cool. So I know Martin saw that last year and got a little inspired too. So I've been hoping to see more of that, because I think Apex is an amazing steel, and I just like everyone like playing around with all these kind of super steels and exotic steels and seeing what can happen.
How does Damasteel behave if it's quenched in oil? Or should we use austenitic cladding? Because you also do austenitic Damasteel, right?
Yeah, we also do austenitic. Yeah.
I mean, it's not up to hardening temperature because Apex needs a much lower hardening temperature than Damasteel Damascus, right? So it might not be a problem.
Yeah, no, I think you'd be all right. Well, you should ask Tobias, because I think he did it last year. So he'll have some notes, I'm sure. There was a bit of a hangout in Fingles last year, and a member of our team went over and brought some material to play around with, and I think some of that got taken to try out a little cladding project. So that's where I think that first originated, that idea.
Oh, we have to order some Damasteel to give it a go.
Yeah, do it before the summer.
Why is it getting more expensive then?
No, it's European summer. Things start shutting down.
No, we never should know. We work like 12 months a year. No, don't worry. For us, it's even better during summertime, because then we have fewer people at classes because it's so warm outside and people don't want to go take a Damascus forging class. So we have plenty of time to do our own projects.
How often are you guys doing classes?
On average, 2 to 3 times a month. So
wow.
At least every other week this month we have like 3 or 4 classes. So plenty.
It seems like, I don't know if this is generalizing, but in Austria particularly, there's so much interest in doing classes, and kind of like the hobbyist idea of custom knife making. That was, as soon as we landed, we kind of felt that in Austria, and I think that's so cool.
That's true. There's so many hobby knife makers in Austria. There's one in every village, we always say. I mean, there's so many of these, yeah. And of course, they want to do classes because not all of them have their own forge and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why they come and do classes and make their own Damascus to take with them home to their own shop.
Okay. Yeah, and those classes, I think, are keeping a lot of these full-time knife makers in business, because you have like a certain dedicated amount of income you can plan on each month, and then also work on your knife projects.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, the first couple of years we survived on classes. So
yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
I think it's a great way to spread knowledge, but also build your customer base, because all of those people are having this positive experience and learning from you as this master maker, and so they go off and tell everyone. And I think that's such a great way to build business. And yeah, and obviously, as you say, stay in business too. That's really cool. Yeah, it's definitely not really a thing here in Sweden.
That's kind of the thing that works really good for you. You keep talking about all these knife maker names throughout the episode, people that you've been and visited and done classes with and stuff. So it's great for you to have a connection with so many different knife makers that are using your steel. And yeah, when you have somebody like that inside the company you can talk to. And
yeah, I before this, I worked at a university, and I managed the social media, and it was kind of at a time of like a lot going on in the university world, a lot of politics, and it was so important to always sign your name when you talk to people. Like if they had any inquiries, if there was something going on, if they had a complaint, that like if you answered it, even if you didn't have an answer for it, that was okay. But you always said your name at the end. And I started doing that when I started at Damasteel. And I think that helped me. It's like a really stupid simple thing, but I think it helped me build a rapport right away with people, because they were like, oh, I'm talking to a real person. And this person is like, maybe they don't have an answer for me, but they're interested in finding an answer for me. So yeah, I feel really lucky that this community has been so welcoming. And a lot of people recently have been asking me, like, how do we get more women involved in the knife community? And it's such a hard question, because it is an intimidating space. There's just so much to learn out there, and it's so male. But I have definitely been like warmly welcomed, and I feel really like grateful for the friendships and the people I've met in this. Like I'm really genuinely looking forward to tomorrow at Blade, like seeing all my buds and seeing what they've been working on, and meeting people in the booth for the next 3 days. It's gonna be a marathon, but yeah, it's really fun. It's a really like supportive and welcoming community, which I think is pretty cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So are you going to be stuck in the booth all weekend, or do you get to walk around once in a while?
I am taking a class. First thing Friday, I'm taking Mareko's culinary knife class, which I think he's like kind of saying is for collectors. But yeah, I've never taken one of his classes. So I thought this might be a good one to start with. And then I'll be in the booth most of the time. On Sundays, I walk around and give out bananas to people to keep their potassium levels up. And there's often a lot of hungover people in the crowd. So yeah, I usually do a video about that on Sunday, and yeah, walk around and meet everyone. So yeah, that's my weekend. We've got some barbecues planned. We'll hopefully get out in Atlanta and eat some good food and see the sights for an hour or two, and then go back to the show. But yeah. I'm really excited. This is my 3rd year, so we're getting into a little bit of a routine there, which is nice.
Yeah, we're gonna need some recommendations for places to eat. Me and Albert and Andy's coming too. The other guy from the Salzburg Messerschmitt.
Oh, awesome. Fingal actually told me about this place a couple of years ago when he was there, and it's Heirloom Market Barbecue. It's like Korean barbecue in a little convenience store.
Yeah, I think you told me about that one.
Yeah, okay. It's crazy. It's so good. The food is amazing. The setting is just like blow the top of your brain off, because you're just like, what am I doing standing here in this basically like gas station eating the best barbecue I've ever had? Yeah, they don't sell beer, but you can just, because it's America, you can just like go into the convenience store next door and buy a beer and come back with it. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always good. And surprisingly, the food at the pit is really good. I had a really awesome steak there a couple of years ago. So yeah, if you need something easy, you don't have to go very far. Just stay there all night.
Yeah, stay in the pit. So I have one important question that you probably got asked a lot at the show in Austria.
Oh, okay.
Where can we get these Damasteel work pants?
Oh yeah, we can hook you up with those. We sell them on our website. They're really easy to get. They're hard to size, but
okay.
yeah. Now, I sent them to somebody recently, and they said, "Oh, they're so heavy," but I think they're awesome. Like, our guys live in them, and yeah, we tried to change them out a few years ago, and they were like, "No, we want to keep these ones."
So what's hard about the size? Should we be going up a size or down a size? Or
I think you just have to, maybe this is standard for all work pants, but you have to be like careful about waist and height measurements, because they have all these letters and numbers, and none of it makes any sense to me. So we have like a sizing chart on our website.
Okay. Cool. To go check those out.
Yeah, they are really awesome. Yeah, and we're gonna have lots of swag at our booth. So yeah, well, I'll see you tomorrow morning. But come by. We've got some like new microcloths for shining up pieces, and some tote bags. I know I promised Trolsky a tote bag, so I'll have to find him first thing tomorrow, give him a tote bag.
For his whiskey bottle.
Yeah, maybe he'll trade me. That would be nice. Yeah, so yeah, that's another thing that I do usually in the morning on the Friday. I go around and I hand out Band-Aids to everybody so that everyone stays safe all weekend. No cuts, or the cuts stay safe, I guess.
You should have gave me one of those in Austria.
Oh, I don't think
Saturday morning.
I don't think that would have helped you.
Oh, that was horrible. It's all better now. You can't tell really. It's just a little scar.
Oof. It was like was it right on the webbing?
No, like between the webbing and the first knuckle, like right in the middle there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, we need to get some bigger Band-Aids for the next Austria show. There were some brutal cuts there.
Yeah, I just happened to meet another guy in the emergency room the same night. So I was on my way out and he was coming in. Also from the show. He had one of those magnet boards, and he was reaching under a knife to get something behind it, and the knife slipped off the board and basically like stabbed right through his forearm.
He was he was staying at our hotel, and that was a big bandage. I saw him when he came back from the hospital, and that was a pretty big bandage. And yeah, at that point he was like, "It doesn't hurt yet." I was like, "Oh no, it's gonna be a brutal sleep." It's just like a lot of sharp stuff, in a room. It's a lot of sharp stuff. So
yeah,
someone's bound to get cut.
Gotta be careful. It happens to somebody every show.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll have Band-Aids. If you're listening and you're like, "Oh man, where am I going to find a Band-Aid tomorrow?" You'll know. 7:38. Yeah, our team was. I don't know if you guys do much of this, but we do a lot of team building. In Sweden, and last week, so it's like a week and a half ago by the time you hear this, we were up in far northern Sweden, and we were doing a traditional knife making course with a customer of ours, and they took us up into Finland, into like the northern tips of Finland, and they pulled out all this freshly smoked reindeer and carved it up for us, and we were grilling on just the side of a glacier in Finland one afternoon, and we all had our little knives that we've made with us. It was just the coolest experience. It was like a very good bonding thing, and probably the best. Have you guys ever had reindeer? It's like the best meat I've ever had, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, it's good stuff.
So clean, and I guess they just put like a 2-hour smoke on it, so it's not too intense. But yeah, it was an awesome day. But yeah, and then obviously we like to try and go for saunas every once in a while, but when we can.
You have one in the office.
We have one in the basement of our building, but nobody's ever, I don't think anybody's ever used it, but this hotel has just popped up beside us that's open now, and they have one. So it's a floating sauna in the river, so you can jump into the freezing cold water. Yeah, it's really cool.
I've never seen one of those.
So Keith, how are you flying? How are you getting there to Atlanta?
So we are flying from Munich, right, Keith? Munich to Atlanta, Munich to Detroit, Detroit to Atlanta. That's our flight.
Oh, that's not so bad. That's nice.
So we're leaving sometime after noon, I think. So also a decent time, pretty convenient. So Paulie's back.
Hey, finally. Yep. I tried like 3 times to interject and do the ad read. Can I do it now?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So on a lighter note, finally, not talking about injuries, I would like to talk about sponsors. And our show is sponsored by minihell.eu. They got the next kiln for you. I do it every time off the cuff. I don't have a pre-prepared text, and it shows. But you know what doesn't show? This show, I guess. But like, go to Baltazar's website, order your next heat treatment oven, and use WFI5 at checkout to get 5% off. And if you cannot find anything that fits your need, you can go and contact him on his email or Instagram and ask for a special built kiln. He does that too, and you can also choose the insulating bricks. You can go with hard bricks, soft bricks, and even choose the controller. So plenty of options, great pricing, and great quality. And now, back to the show.
So he can make special size ovens. Albert said he just said earlier he needed a bigger one for his mosaic builds.
Yeah, I was thinking about that during the ad read.
So it's a perfect match. It's our sponsor, and you maybe can get a discount.
Yeah, more than 5%.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
So Carly, I had a question actually. Damasteel looks like a super luxurious material to work with, right? Like big companies use it, Hublot uses it. Are there any ways that Damasteel as a company tries to give a chance for new makers to use it?
Yeah. Thank you for asking, Paulius. Well, we've got a few little kind of programs on right at the moment. So we're doing an RWL club this year. So you get about 700 euros worth of product, including swag, for 300 euros. So we've done that. So that's a great way for people to test out RWL. There's also going to be a piece of pattern steel in their last box. So it's like 3 boxes over the next 9 months. And then we're also doing a build along, and you can order that through Maritime. And those are around 100 euros, and you get a foot of RWL and then a piece of Heimskringla to play with. And that is, we do the build along that leads up to our Damasteel Chef Invitational, which happens every November. So the build along, we've been seeing some really cool stuff. It's like there's a there's a tab on our website. If you go under DCI, you can see the build along from last year. It's an opportunity for new makers to like test out different shapes, different ideas. And then we also sell, most people don't buy directly from us. They buy from our distributors because we sell minimum, 500, like a half a meter is our minimum, but we do every once in a while sell packs of cutoffs, and they're kilo packs, and those are around 300 euros, and you get some massive pieces in there. We do not sell little bitty itty cutoffs, because that's not what we end up with in the shop. We would have to like take the pieces and then go and cut them, and that's more work. So people end up getting some pretty substantial cutoffs that they could use for full knife building. Yeah, so that's like a great way to start out, I think, is just get a pack of cutoffs and excuse me, and play around. The last time we did a cutoff sale, I think we sold 17 kilos in a couple hours. So I know it's a popular item.
Carly, I have a question about the RWR34 club. Are there still open places to join the club, or is everything gone?
Sadly, it's all closed for this year. We had sold out before Knife Show Austria, and then a few people begged me during the show to join. So, but now we're officially sold out of the RWL club. But that was just we're just trying to, like you said, Paulius, we're just trying to get material in the hands of new makers, or people who have been making for ages but have never tried our stuff. We don't want there to be this big barrier, and we don't want it to be scary. So yeah, we're trying to think of new and fun ways to get material to people, and like smaller amounts if possible.
I have another question, Carly. About something you said earlier. How does one become a Damasteel distributor?
We have a list of about I want to say like 16 distributors around the world. And at the moment, we're kind of just like leveled off. So becoming a distributor is more or less like if one of our other distributors decided to stop distributing, then we'd maybe have an opening. Because at the moment, we're kind of full up. Like if there was a new market, we recently got a new distributor in South Africa because that market is really booming. And in Australia, I know Gameco or Gameco, we call them. They've started distributing again. So that there was could have been some potential there, but they're gonna keep our product. So that's exciting for them, and I'm really happy to hear that. But yeah, it's a little bit like that at the moment. So,
but people can also directly order from Damasteel, right?
Yeah, you can order directly from us. We just have minimums because we forge everything to order. Our minimums are like half a meter bar, and for round stock we can sometimes go to like 300 millimeters, but that's a pretty big investment.
But I was more thinking about RWR34 sheets because that's what we mostly use.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can definitely order those directly from us. And we can, oh no, I shouldn't say this, so many people listening. We can also have them water jet in Söderfors, so you don't have to pay for that shipping if that's not maybe what you need, but if anybody else needs that. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. Thinking more like production stuff. Yeah, our like I said, our team is really small, and all of us kind of deal with customers on like a one-on-one basis. And so if you come to us with a problem or an idea or a dream, we're really excited to work with you to see if we can kind of figure it out together.
I have an idea.
Oh,
I think with the Damasteel build along, that's only available like in the U.S. market, right? U.S., Canada.
Yeah, we have a Canadian distributor. Yeah.
And they're the only ones that are supplying the steel for the build along.
They are at the moment, yes.
Do you think there might be any in Austria that might be able to join, so the European market can do the build along also?
Yeah.
Who are you thinking about, Keith?
I don't know. Maybe there's a company in Austria that could do this.
Maybe there's a company, but that's a great idea. I really like that idea. because we don't have anybody obviously in Austria doing it. Maritime, they've been doing a great job of shipping globally, and that's really why we use them, because they're used to dealing with small packages, and we are not at all set up for those logistics. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. I really like that idea.
Maybe we can jump on board for the next build along.
Cool. That would be fun. Yeah, let's talk about that.
That's it. You guys ran out of questions.
And I was happy for you. You almost made a deal. Almost made a deal. Yeah, Carly, I really wanted to ask about.
We'll close that in the pit.
I really wanted to ask about the Damasteel Chefs Invitational. They've been happening for quite a few years now, and it is as I understand, a web show, right? And were there any, I don't know, something funny happened or something like, what is the most memorable thing from any Chef Invitational that you remember?
Well, one of your favorite people and one of my favorite people showed up in Söderfors in the middle of November 2 years ago. So the Damasteel Chef Invitational is a totally online culinary knife show. We invite 15 to 20 makers each year. People can also apply. It's a pretty exclusive show, and we try to keep like tight control over everything. We've got, our setup in Söderfors, 5 or 6 of us on computers, kind of monitoring everything that's going on. Per, who owns Damasteel, he's there with his headset on. Our sales team is there to help and support. And just as we're all getting prepped to go to the show 2 years ago, this wicked snowstorm has hit. Everything is covered in white and ice. The roads are awful. I get this message on Instagram that pops up, and it's just a picture of these snowy roads on the way to Söderfors. And the picture was from Alfredo Facciperi.
Jesus Christ.
And I was like, Alfredo, why do you have a picture of Söderfors on your phone? And he's like, guess where I am?
Somebody misunderstood the instructions.
The invitational part.
Yeah.
So Alfredo likes to do something like surprising each Damasteel Chef Invitational. That is his. That's what he loves. So he was there in Söderfors with his electric car, which he didn't know how to charge in Sweden. I think somebody at the airport convinced him to take it, and his lovely wife, Deborah. And he was there to make us pasta and be there for the show. He brought us some wine. We shared some pepperkaka and like glug mulled wine with him before the show. But yeah, that's the most surprising thing to ever happen.
So was he selling knives also at the time, or just there to entertain you guys?
No, we also had to set him up also, because he also had to be part of the knife show. So we sent him to this little house next door that we have for meetings, and he set up his screen there, and he's like, yeah, hello everyone, I'm in Söderfors.
That's an awesome story.
Gave him a tour of the forge, although of course it's like a Saturday night, so no one was at work and was dead in town. But now there's like a hotel in town, so we're more set up. So I told Alfredo he has to come again, and let us redo it, and we can plan this time. But that's my favorite Damasteel Chef Invitational story. There's always something weird that happens. It's a really fun show. More Damasteel Chef Invitationals, more knife makers from the DCI were together in one place at the Austrian Knife Show than have ever been in one place before together. So I got a picture of as many as I could, and it was really awesome. They were asking me, they were like, we need to have DCI at Knife Show Austria. So that's a call I have to make in a couple of weeks. I have to talk to Martin about how do we incorporate these things? How do we make more magic happen in these European shows? So Yeah.
I think that's one of the only things I think he was missing was like a little bit more like live presentations from something. I know it's a shitload more work, especially after it was only the first year, but
Yeah.
I don't know, somebody doing demonstrations like Gator Piss, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be something big, but people just like showing their product where you can get some hands on knife sharpening or something like that.
Yeah, I really like that idea. And yeah, like some presentations, some more talking. I was even thinking like the judging. Marcus, my colleague who was also there, he took part in the judging, and I think that was so cool, that process. Like I got a few photos from him, and it would almost be cool to have that like live, just more events, like you said. So yeah.
Like on the big screen TV in the hallway, a couple TVs with you can see the background judging going on.
People pulling their hair
Careful
out.
scrupulation.
Yeah. Just like keep it silent though, like no sound, just just the video feed. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I like that idea. I think you had a really good spot though by the door. That was nice.
Yeah, that was good next to the exit. Some fresh air. We got pretty hot in that back room, so I'm glad I wasn't there.
I liked the venue other than the heat. I guess he's gonna change it for next year. I saw he's already
to a bigger spot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The potential is there. Like there's just so much interest in that area. So and by that area, I guess I mean like, the continent. So that's awesome. Seems like a lot of people could drive there, even if it was far. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only that, it was a lot of like more of the, I don't know what the right way to say it, but the age group of knife makers that was there, more of the modern, the younger crowd.
Yeah. It was kind of like a bit of a younger crowd, I guess. In Sweden as well, like some of the more traditional knife making groups are getting older, and if there's not like new people to fill that in, then unfortunately those skills and some of that knowledge is gonna get passed along without anybody picking it up. But it was nice to see a lot of young people there, and a lot of really beautiful stuff.
A lot of people for the first time shows too, showing some crazy knives for a first.
Unbelievable.
First knife show.
I had no idea there was going to be that many people there. I was like honestly kind of shocked. I walked in there and I thought, this is a success for us if, Martin is happy, but also just like if we get to talk to the knife makers who are here, that's more than enough of a crowd for us. So, yeah, when I saw Martin's face light up after lunch that he'd passed like 1,100, I was like, oh, well, okay, that's great. This is, we're really rocking now. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. Paulius, how was your show?
My show, it was really good. I think talking about the younger people, I think Keith actually nailed or coined really well that this was the meeting of our social knife maker bubble, and it's all the people that I follow, and I started following when I started knife making, and it felt like just a big ginormous group of friends meeting for the first time, at least for me. And for me it was the very first show. It was possible to drive there by car, even if it took 2 days, and it was something to remember. It was like there was so much hugging and love in the air. It was crazy. Like you said before that this sphere is very intimidating, maybe for women. And I guess people like Trollsky, they look intimidating, but he is such a soft bear inside, We drink now. I love it. There is so much camaraderie, friendship, and support. It is insane. Like none of them felt like a competitor, and it felt like a huge celebration of, I don't know, just what we do and what we make. And it was insane.
After a couple more shows, it'll be like that with your customers too. You start to get people that you see at all the shows that are coming around to support all the other knife makers, and buy materials or knives off you and stuff. You start to see those people and recognize them too. So it just gets bigger every time you go.
Yeah, it was so gratifying, when a customer comes and says that he was just looking for my stuff because he looked at all of the exhibitors and mine looked appealing just to him. And it is so rewarding. Of course, there were not a lot of people that said that, but the ones that did really stood out from the crowd. And just as I mentioned, the willingness to share, the amount of parties, of course, and the support. It was like Martin really did a show for the knife makers and not for the customers, and it also attracted the customers. So it's a win-win-win. Can't wait for the next year. I'm totally in, and can't wait to see you all there.
Yeah, like it was the most positive show I've ever heard of, really. And that was like testament to this like bubble or this group that you guys have created, and obviously to Martin and his team and his family, who were just like the most amazing hosts. But yeah, it was a really cool, like, obviously I think everyone who wasn't there should have mad FOMO. So I don't mind talking about this, but but I feel bad. I feel bad for people who weren't there, because it was a really, knife events are always pretty cool, but this felt really unique somehow. And hopefully there's just like so much potential for it to grow and keep being really special.
Maybe, the unifying factor was that it was the very first show, and people came in here just with low expectations and wanting, just we'll see how it goes. And everything just went right into the right places. And I heard from people talking about other shows that they're very fond of shows that are smaller. Not like Atlanta, but more of like I guess Blade Show Texas, which is the smaller one, and they kind of feel like as makers that they are more intimate and more fun. And this time there were only like 75 to 80 exhibitors here, so kind of low number. And next year I guess it will be over 150, and the vibe will be different. And I am really appreciative of the fact that I had the chance just to rub in, some salt into the listeners who did not come to the show. I'm so appreciative that I had the opportunity to come here and exhibit and meet all of the people.
Yeah, I think, having it be a smaller community too, and like you said, it took you 2 days to drive there, but being able to drive with all your materials is still a really nice option, because then you don't have to worry about shipping them and you don't have that stress, and it's usually a more affordable option. And then the community itself was really affordable to be in. That's like a hard thing about Atlanta. It's just so expensive, and it's so expensive to fly there. It's so expensive to stay there. Booths are expensive. And one of the reasons we've been keeping DCI online for so long is because it's so affordable for makers. They have to make their knives by a certain point so I can get them up online, but then they get to be at home. They don't have to travel anywhere, unless you're Alfredo, of course, but they don't have to leave their workshops even, and they get to share a part of their space with the viewer. So that is the one thing about doing a digital show that I do really love, how like cheap it is for makers, because everything else is so expensive. Everything's so expensive right now, and it's nice to offer something.
It's a great idea.
Yeah,
that is really, really great idea. Just to have something totally different and to offer like at the other end of the spectrum, and still showcase the what makers can actually make with Damasteel, and join that together with the build along, where all of the smaller makers, newer makers can join in and make something of their own, and still look at the super high end stuff that is invitation only. That is a really smart strategy, or just thinking the way of supporting community and bringing everyone together?
It's a small world of knife makers, and I do think that like kind of everybody needs to support everyone. Like you said, it wasn't Paulius, like you said, it didn't feel competitive there. And I almost don't think it should ever. Like, it's like the more steel, the merrier. The more Damascus, the merrier. The more knife makers, the merrier. The more people doing this, the more people making really great products and great steels and great knives and great handle material, then like the more people who will know about it. So I think it's all positive.
Yeah, and most probably when the customers are buying, they are buying your work and the style that you do, and not most probably the material itself, but what you can do with the material,
Yeah. Yeah.
How you can express yourself through it.
Yeah.
And I guess I did not know, but Damasteel, it is, you said like you are running, the Damasteel is running for 30 years, right?
Yeah, this is our 30th year. That's why this special pattern that's coming out tomorrow at 11 a.m. is we're only doing 30 billets of it. So
in total?
Total. That's it.
So no more after this point?
Just 30 billets. Once they're gone, they're gone. And what else can I say about it? And they're limited to one per customer.
Oh, they will be only available at Blade Show, right?
No, we've got 8 with us at Blade Show, and then the rest of them are still home in Söderfors. And you can get them just by emailing our team. We're not putting them up on the website. They're just you have to email. It's sales@damasteel.com and ask Marcus for a bar of the secret steel.
Wow, this is for our listeners. Now we will get.
All right, so 3 of them are gone already. 3 bars are gone because we're gonna email before the show comes on the air.
He's gonna be really mad when he sees his email tomorrow morning.
Sales at, what was it, Marcus?
Sales@damasteel.com. His name's Marcus. You can tell him Carly sent you.
Carly discount.
Yeah.
He'll put some Band-Aids in the box.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So is there, you talked about a lot of stuff and new patterns that are coming out, but is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners or tell them where they can get Damasteel and these cool Damasteel work pants?
Yeah, I can. I think we've covered so much. This has been really awesome. But yeah, we are always open 24/7 at damasteel.se. There's a shop button. You have to register as a customer, but then you can see all the pricing and what's available. And then, like I said, we have distributors all over the globe. So you can always get something near you. And follow us on Instagram. And if you want to reach out and say hi, it's me you're talking to. So yeah, it's Damasteel AB. AB is like the Swedish for company. So people sometimes say Damasteel Lab, but it's Damasteel AB. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
At damasteel.com, right?
Yeah, damasteel.com.
Albert, Paulius, what do you think?
The best show ever. It was
very good.
Yeah, excellent show. We should get a race.
Yeah, now we just need this Damasteel project in Europe.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool. We are looking forward to meeting you again in person then. By the time this airs, that'll be tomorrow at Blade Show Atlanta. And the rest of you guys, we will talk to you next week.
Yep.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you, Carly. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.